It's our intention. Our intention is everything. Nothing happens on this planet without it. Not one single thing has ever been accomplished without intention. I started thinking about my life, and I looked back and I thought, well, I was two people my whole life. I was in the living room entertaining people, being a monkey, doing my thing for the company, and trying to relieve my mother, who was suffering. She had rheumatoid arthritis and colitis and everything under the sun that was nagging at her, and she was depressed. And I wanted her to be free. And I wanted her to realize that her life was worth something because she gave birth to someone who was worth something. And then I would go into my room and I would sit with a legal pad. I was a little kid. And I would sit there and I would try to figure out what it meant, what it was all about. Why are we here? What is this? And one day I read something that said that all spirituality is about relieving suffering. And I suddenly realized that's what I'm doing in the other room. You know, my purpose is aligned with this. So I felt incredibly lucky. I lose sight of that all the time. I get caught up in different concerns and ego concerns. But I'm so lucky to be a part of this community and to do something that is of value. And I really cherish that. And we are all one thing.
When you create yourself to make it, you're going to have to either let that creation go and take a chance on being loved or hated for who you really are, or you're going to have to kill who you really are and fall into your grave grasping onto a character that you never were. I saw this psychic palm reader sign, and she gave me a reading, and she said, you're about to do 3 things, 3 movies that will be very, very, very big and very important, and after that, it will be impossible for anyone to knock you down from that place. I worked in factories. I had a 9th grade education. You know, it's a series of like crushing disappointments, and I just go into a different gear. I go into, don't know how it's gonna write itself, but it will, you know? I don't know how. You know, I mean, I'm the guy who wrote the $10 million check to himself and had it come to fruition. I'm the guy who had the substitute teacher in grade 2 who said that, you know, whenever I want something, I pray to the Virgin Mary and I ask her for it and I promise something in return and I get whatever I want.
So didn't you write yourself a check? I heard that you did. Is that true?
I wrote myself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered, and I gave myself 5 years.
My dad could never afford a bicycle, so I went, okay. And I went home and I prayed for a bicycle and promised I'd say the rosary in return, and then I got a bicycle, showed up in my living room. Brand new Mustang bike. I put it in one of the scenes in Eternal Sunshine. A Mustang bike with a banana seat. Just before Thanksgiving 1995, I found out that I was going to make $10 million.
So you visualized?
From then on, it was whenever I wanted something to happen, I manifested it. I stood there in an open field like this with my arms out. My father was not only the funniest man in the room, but he was a fantastic saxophone player. And before I was born, he had an orchestra in Toronto. But, you know, in order to be something special, you had to leave Canada and come down to the States and prove yourself in the States. He was a little bit afraid of that transition, and also he had a family to take care of, so he became an accountant. And as time wore on, it wore him down. You know, it wore him down, and he got a little bit bitter. especially when he lost his job when he was 51. That really broke him. Not only was he compromising to raise a family, but when you compromise and you fail, it really hurts. It hurts even more than failing at what you love. So that was an example for me.
And a lot of people don't know this, but when I was about 14 or 15, my father lost his job, and I actually became homeless for quite some time. Of course, I grew up in Canada, so I thought we had just gone camping, you know. But,
I learned that you can fail at what you don't love, so you might as well do what you love. There's really no choice to be made.
What you want to be, you know?